Ahupua'a is a land division usually extending from the uplands to the sea. Because the boundary was marked by an ahu of stone surmounting by an image of a pua'a, or because a pig or other tribute was laid on the altar as tax to the chief.
Lana'i has 13 Ahupua'a. Ka'a.
Haumai.
Mahana.
Maunalei.
Kalulu.
Kaunulu. Palawai. Pavili.
Ka'ohai. Palawai.
Kealia Aupuni. Kealia Kapu.
Kaunolu. Kalulu. Kamoku.
A unique thing about Lana'i Ahupua'a, if you heard any Ahupua'a mentioned twice, it's because 3 of our Ahupua'a goes right across the island from sea, up the mountain, and then back down to the sea.
Palawai, Kalulu, and Kaunolu is the 3 Ahupua'a that stretch from shore to shore.
Hi, my name is Lana'i and I'm here with Uncle Albert Marita. How are the Ahupua'as identified on Lana'i? And do the borders that show the division between Ahupua'as still exist?
The Lana'i had 13 Ahupua'a. And Lana'i is kind of unique in that 3 of the Ahupua'a go from coast to coast, from basically the Kaunulu area on the south side over to the northeast side of the island. The boundaries, when they were first set up, I imagine the Konohikio, whoever was in charge of the land, or whoever divided the land, probably went from point to point and was recorded by voice, and then handed down through people within the family. So they knew the boundaries. After the coming of the Mahele, the western way of land ownership, they needed to more formally identify the boundaries. So boundary commission was set up to discuss the boundaries, to settle disputes, and to actually go out there and talk with the people who knew it, the Konohikis or the overseers of the land. And they surveyed the lands and they set up the boundary points in a formal system and described the boundaries by what's called meets and bounds. Meets and bounds is when you go from one place to the next by starting at one particular point and you identify that point, and then you go by a bearing, which is a compass bearing. Then you go by the distance. So you may say, start at this rock, go northwest 37 degrees, 2,000 feet or so. Then you come to your next point. They continue this throughout the boundary, and then they establish the boundary. These boundary markers that were set up and established by the Boundary Commission in the 1870s still exist today. Kepa, the executive director of the Lana'i Culture and Heritage Center, he collected a lot of documents that describe these Ahupua'a, and he showed me some of it, and I became interested. This is a sample of what the Boundary Commission survey looks like. This is for the Ka'a survey. One starts down at the bottom of Paliamano, comes upland to a place called Pu'ulala, and then goes to Kaka'alani, and then goes back down towards Avaloa and Paleolono, and then back around the coast.
When did we stop using the Ahupua'a system and why?
But actually, in some of our land description, Ahupua'a still is used, as far as describing certain parcels. Like when they did studies for the senior center, the building, they describe it as being in the Kamoku Ahupua'a. This mark is up at, it defines one of the points in the pavilion area. It's just a little pile of rocks. So you remove one rock and you look underneath, and there's an X on the rock which the surveyors made, which delineates a particular point. My favorite is this one. which marks Lana'i Ahupua'a and Lana'i Ahupua'a along the coastline in a place called Anapuka. So a beautiful ahu that's still there after a survey from the 1870s.
How important was the Ahupua'a system to Lana'i's people?
Prior to the Mahele, it was very important, yeah, because as we discussed it provided, Ahupua'a provided everything they needed, from building material to farm areas to fishing areas. The Ahupua'a were set up in order to give the people of that district all the resources they need to sustain themselves. Yeah. Building materials from Mauka areas, then farming land, dryland farming land, so wetland farming areas, and then down to the coast, and then even into the ocean. Yeah. Ahupua'a also includes some of the reef and offshore fishing areas. So all these resources were necessary to sustain the people of that land division.
Thank you, Uncle, again for all of your help. We appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much for introducing that subject. And carry on, yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope it's useful to all of you. Somewhere down the line, I hope you guys can get out there and look at the Aina too, and find these places and visit these places. For me, it's been a real eye-opener. I've lived on Lana'i nearly all my life, and I guess I walked the land without really seeing things.
Right.
So now I'm going back and I'm finding these things and then reading about it through the documents and then putting things together. Yeah. So I hope these things are continue, and then I hope the next generation picks it up, continues it to learn more about the land. It's not just a big vast land. Yeah. It's individual people and individuals, family lives. Yeah. The whole history is tied up in the land here.
Could you just imagine if they came back and saw traffic lights and railroad tracks? How would they feel about this modern city life? Tears will come from